taking the I am Charlie Kirk a little bit too seriously, right? Chad goes, my wife got out of the shower about 30 minutes ago. The kiddo is at Wednesday night church. I asked her if she was going to come explain a beaver moon to me, but she did not find that humorous. You know, you might piss people off in the chat, Chad, and that's fine, but don't piss off your spouse, right? That's you don't want to, unlike JD Vance, you don't want to be sleeping on the couch. Because Usha Vance has a problem, because even if she's mad at JD Vance for his embracing of Erica Kirk, she can't send him to go sleep on the couch because he's not going to get any sleep either. So, ooh, we have a Rose coming into the room. Let's see if Rose joins us, and let's see if Rose shows off her butthole to everybody. She hasn't done that in forever. I could kind of tease her with my hands. I'd be like, "Come on, Rose. Come on, Rose." She's not coming. Oh, she meowed at me and she said no in her meow. Oh, there we go. Look, it's Rose, everybody. Hello, kitty. Give some celebrations and hearts or whatever in the chat for my Rosie Posey, who's decided to grace us with her royal presence here. So thank you so much, Rose, for and she's turning around a little bit more, and there's the butthole. Yay! Huzzah for Rosie's butthole. Hey, Roxanne, good to see you. Dick Cheney signed a waterboarding kit from the Borat comedian. The Borat comedian, you know, Sacha Baron Cohen. Yes. Very nice. High five. Man, the fact that he was able to get all the people to sing, throw the Jews down the well is just an example of how anti-Semitism is alive and well in this country. Another reason that anti-Semitism is alive and well in this country is York County, Pennsylvania. I was not planning that segue, so thank you for bringing up Borat. Hanover residents and religious leaders are responding after a replica of the Auschwitz concentration camp gate appeared on a Halloween parade float from the St. Joseph Catholic School. The float was drawing criticism from residents, you think, saying the design is insensitive, inappropriate, and hateful. You think? The Most Reverend Timothy C. Sr., Bishop of Harrisburg, issued the following statement. I was shocked and appalled to learn that the Halloween parade float from St. Joseph Catholic School in Hanover included a replica of the Auschwitz concentration camp gate bearing the words, Arbeit macht frei, work will set you free. The inclusion of this image, one that represents the horrific summary, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't think we have to explain. We shouldn't have to explain what the Auschwitz sign represents, but yet they decided that it was a good idea to put that on their Halloween float. I'm surprised they didn't throw, like, zombie Jews in Holocaust outfits with the stripes and either a gold star or a pink triangle, or maybe both. So, yeah. Anti-Semitism is alive and well. We will work with the school community to ensure that this incident becomes an opportunity for education and reflection and review approval processes so that such a grievous incident is never repeated. How about firing the people who are responsible for it and punishing anybody else, if they're students, for putting it on the damn float in the first place? We can't do that, right? Because, anti-Semitism is a tale as old as time. So, community responds, New York JCC, Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, and the Jewish Federation of Harrisburg jointly responded to the Halloween float. These acts, intentional or not. Intentional or not? How is building the gate from Auschwitz not intentional? Oops, I mistakenly created a replica of a gate of a Nazi death camp and placed it on it just happened to fall on it. We headed for something else and it just fell on the float and we decided not to move it. How is it not intentional? I mean, I understand that us as Jewish people sometimes have to tiptoe everything when it comes to anti-Semitism, because when we like to point out that things are anti-Semitic, people like to doubt us. Like when I point out that Donald Trump's executive order number was 14188, which is basically 14/88, the 14 words and the 88 for HH, Hail Hitler. we have to tiptoe around that, because if we're too loud complaining about anti-Semitism, people start saying, oh, they're just playing the bigotry card. You know, what do they know? What do we know about our own oppression and marginalization, right? These acts cause fear and pain for Jewish individuals and for all who understand the weight of these symbols. We appreciate Bishop Senior's acknowledgement of the harm caused and his apology on behalf of the diocese, recognizing the impact of such imagery as a vital step towards understanding, healing, and preventing similar incidents in the future. Nobody should have to act. Nobody should have to act to explain to people why this is wrong, but we did elect an anti-Semite as president, and, other anti-Semites clearly exist in this administration and as supporters of the administration, so as old Donald would say,
it is what it is.
So anyway, Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg came out with a separate response. The Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg is deeply disturbed and unequivocally condemns the ignorant and upsetting display depicting the gates of the Auschwitz concentration camp and the Hanover Halloween Parade. The depictions of these painful symbols outside of an educational setting is never acceptable. This incident sadly reflects the unsettling rise in hate, ignorance, and anti-Semitism in Pennsylvania and across the nation. Much better statement from the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg. So kudos for that, but again, we shouldn't have to say it because it's not a thing that should be done. And yes, today is also Guy Fawkes Day. Remember the 5th of November, but many other nerds will also remember the 5th of November because 70 years ago, on November 5th, 1955, Dr. Emmett Brown hit his head in the bathroom after he slipped and fell and came up with the idea of the flux capacitor, which made time travel possible. So all thanks to the great scholar and scientist Dr. Brown, because that is today as well. Anyway, is that book Mouse with the comic book retelling of the Nazis still banned in schools? I'm sure it's banned in some schools, but yeah. I'm sure that in Florida, maybe. Let's see if they're still banned in Florida. I'm going to assume it still is. Is Mouse still banned in? It came up in Tennessee. Yes, Mouse has been banned in some school districts, most notably in McMinn County, Tennessee, in 2022. The ban was based on concerns about inappropriate language, nudity, and age appropriateness for the 8th grade curriculum. While the book is not banned nationwide, these local bans have sparked national discussions and criticism, because why wouldn't they? Yeah. What else? Jeff goes, I've done plenty of stupid shit that was unintentional. Well, yeah, but, being drunk and coming on Liberal Dan and making silly comments on Liberal Dan Radio is might be unintentional. Having a float that contains the Auschwitz sign, again. So, hey Roxanne, good to see you. Did I say hello to Roxanne? I don't know if I said hello to Roxanne. I know I said hello to Suzanne, I think. So, anyway. So there's that. But yeah, yesterday was an amazing day. Not just, not for the reasons that some might think because of old Big Dick Cheney becoming flaccid. But yeah, you've got Spanberger. And I, for a second, I kept saying I thought they were saying Spanberger. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like an appetizing burger at all. I don't want a hamburger made of spam. I don't like spam. But Spanberger, you've got, who was a former CIA case officer and a U.S. House member, defeated Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, which, terrible person, by the way. But when I listen to conservatives talking about, well, why aren't the Democrats supporting her? Because she's black. Because conservatives don't understand what we are talking about when we say that, when we want to support black people. Doesn't mean that we're going to support all black people. It means that black people should have their say and be represented in all aspects of government, just like everybody else should be, right? So the seat's back in Democratic hands after Glenn Youngkin flipped the seat. New Democratic Representative Mike Sherrill, a Navy veteran and a moderate Democrat, won New Jersey's governorship over Jack Ciattarelli, securing a third consecutive Democratic administration. The last time that happened was in the 60s. She said, celebrate the victory, and we were going to fight for a different future for our children. And of course, the biggest news of yesterday, which there's still plenty of other great news, but the biggest news is Zohran Mamdani, who got elected as a progressive. And here's the thing. There were people like Elon Musk was saying some bullshit about how these people are being entered twice on a ballot. Like Sliwa was twice on the ballot. Mamdani was twice on the ballot. Why was Mamdani twice on the ballot? Because he was endorsed by the Democratic Party, and he was also endorsed by the Workers' Party or whatever. And then Sliwa was the Republicans and another party as well. And Cuomo was only on one. So you could vote for Mamdani as a Democrat, or you could vote for Mamdani as a Workers' Party, Democratic Socialist, whatever. But every vote for Mamdani, regardless of if you picked the one box or the other box, would all be combined together, and that would give you the grand total. It's not confusing if you have several working brain cells and can figure it out. But, these are MAGA conservatives we're talking about, the MAGA conservative shills like Elon Musk, who don't quite understand that fact and was trying to make a big deal out of nothing. Mountains out of molehills, etc. So, and of course, who were the people in New York supposed to vote for? Sliwa, who's terrible and was never going to win, or Cuomo, who was, has at least 12, if I'm not mistaken on the number, at least 12 credible claims of sexual harassment against him and his nipple rings. And then he was endorsed by Donald Trump, who was found civilly liable for sexual abuse of E. Jean Carroll. So birds of a feather molest together, or abuse together, or assault together, or harass together, or whatever you want to say these frickin' birds do. The one thing that one bird is not going to do, i.e. Cuomo, is take office because he lost to Mamdani. And while people might bring up, well, you're Jewish, how can you support Mamdani? Because I didn't like the globalize the Intifada comment because of the meaning that word has. People would try to defend those words and basically be like, well, all Intifada means is struggle. Well, so does Kampf. But if people walk around saying Mein Kampf, then guess what? The people are going to be like, what? And they're going to take a step back and wonder what the hell you're saying and why the hell you're saying it. Like if you say, Arbeit macht free, and you say that, oh, work will set you free. Isn't that a great thing to say? No, not in the context of a concentration camp thing, and so it's not some words you're going to want to say. So yeah, it's problematic, but he listened. This is why I don't have a problem with Mandani. He listened to Jewish leaders, he listened to other Jewish voters, and he took the time and he understood it, and he walked some things back. And he's like, okay, it's much different than, the guy up in Maine who has a Nazi tattoo, or had a Nazi tattoo before he had it covered up. Because that was removed like a week ago, or 2 weeks ago at this point, or whatever. So he just had the realization. But Mamdani was talking about that, but then he seemed legitimately sincere. And so who are the people in New York going to vote for? Somebody who has the wherewithal to have conversations with people who might disagree with him on certain issues, but agree with him on other issues. And then say, and then, change his tone and rhetoric when it finds out that the tone and rhetoric was harming other people and causing other people to have problems and whatever. Or the guy who has 12 credible sexual harassment allegations against him who had to resign because of them. The choice is clear. Mamdani was the clear choice. No ifs, ands, or buts. But, it is what it is. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's I don't want to trample over Donald Trump's lines.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But yeah, so he is the first Muslim mayor, and it's youngest for more than a century. Trump had backed Andrew Cuomo. Let's see, Virginia lieutenant governor, the first Muslim woman in statewide office, I think, period. Ghazala Hashmi made history when she became the first Muslim woman to win a race for a statewide office in the country with a victory over conservative talk show host John Reed. Speaking after victory, she said, "Tonight together we have carved a new historic path. Tonight, Virginia, we have pointed our compass that guides us into the future while building our roots in decency, dignity, and dedication." Oh, such horrible words. You know, it's amazing that, you know, I had a conversation one time. I think it was on Facebook. And, you know, the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And I was arguing with this conservative, and I was making a rhetorical point specifically because I knew where it would go. And I was like, "I'm Jewish, you're Christian. We don't believe in the same God." "Yes, we do." He's like, "Yes, we do." I'm like, "How do we believe in the same God? You believe that the Messiah has returned already. We don't. We're supposed to keep kosher. You don't have to keep kosher. We believe we can't drive on the Sabbath. Well, I do because I'm a bad Jew, but y'all can drive on the Sabbath." All these differences. Jesus came to fulfill the law, and as such, you only have, you know, two really main commandments. But the whatchamacallit, because I'm distracted. You know. Anyway, so many, you know, we have 613 commandments that we're supposed to follow as Jews. So the two religions, while having the same roots, are completely different. So I'm going to argue that we don't have the same God. Well, yes, we do. And I was like, okay, fine. We have the same God. So does Islam. Muslims worship the same God that you do. "No, they don't. They don't. I don't worship the same God as the Muslims worship." They're so predictable sometimes. It's ridiculously stupid how predictable they are. Democratic Jay Jones was elected Virginia Attorney General despite uproar over revelation during his campaign that he sent widely condemned texts that showed him fantasizing about killing a Republican lawmaker and his family. And, well, guess what? The reason he won, I would say, is because he was able to ride the coattails of everyone else, but it's because of Trump. Because Trump the Republicans felt that the elections would go much more in their favor yesterday because that the nation would push back, again, blame the Democrats for the shutdown. But alas, the Democrats who voted yesterday cannot be gaslit into believing that the shutdown is the fault of the Democrats. Because the Democrats come to the table, the Republicans refuse to come to the table. Two people want to have something pass. One offers a counter proposal. The other one says, "No, I'm not negotiating with you." The one not negotiating is the one that's responsible for the problems. So they thought that Americans will sure be mad at them Democrats, but I reckon they were wrong. Trump also said that he believed that the reason that the GOP had such wide losses is because he wasn't on the ballot. Donald Trump was on every single ballot yesterday, if not in ink, but in spirit, because people came out and solidly and soundly rejected Republicans across the board, even in areas where they were not supposed to. Pennsylvania Supreme Court, 3 Supreme Court seats were up in the state of Pennsylvania. All 3 of them went to the Democrats, who retained those seats, maintaining the 5-2 advantage of the Supreme Court. Of course, California Prop 50 passed, but it passed by 64%. A resounding victory for the Democrats when there was nothing else on that ballot other than the Republican attempts to gerrymander and the California's response in kind. And the Californians said, "Hey, we want to fight back, and we're giving the government of California the authority and the power to fight back against this gerrymandering." And of course, they're fighting gerrymandering with more gerrymandering, but sometimes you do have to fight fire with fire. And while gerrymandering is abhorrent and I don't like it happening anywhere, we can't just handcuff ourselves and stand on principle when the other side is cheating and we don't want to cheat. So, but the Georgia Public Service Commission, Democrats won seats. Alicia Johnson and Peter Hubbard defeated Republican incumbents, making the Public Service Commission in Georgia 3-2, Republican to Democrat. Democratic National Committee Chair Ken Martin said, this victory is a direct response to Trump's cost-raising agenda that is squeezing the pocketbooks in Georgia and across the country. Mississippi didn't take over the legislature, but the Democrats picked up seats in both houses and eliminated the supermajority in the Mississippi State Senate. And I'm anticipating that's going to happen even more in certain states where, they're weakening the Republican strength in districts to try and make more Republican seats. And I sure as hell hope this backfires in their face and that this massive wave of people turning out is, going to continue on into next year and beyond. The New Jersey Assembly, the Democrats gained a supermajority there. So yeah. And here's one of the two things, before I get to the comments that are in the chat, two things I would basically say. Is that, yes, we need to continue the fight. We need to continue to Republicans are like, why are you celebrating no kings? Well, here's one of the reasons, because A, Donald Trump said he was a king on his social media channels, but B, all of these no kings rallies and everything got everybody unified, working together to try and solve the problem that is the Donald Trump administration and fighting back against it from your local races. I mean, what is it? J.D. Vance's brother-in-law lost the race to be a mayor in Connecticut. You had school board seats that flipped from Republican held to Democrat held. I mean, from small offices to big offices, nationwide, the Democrats kicked ass. And here's one of the reasons why. And look, I am always saying that we should not always be running towards the center, that moving towards the left is going to attract us more voters than pushing to the center gets us. And I think, you potentially lose fewer voters by moving to the left as a net, because you have the people on the left who will then come out and support, Mandani being proof of that. Cuomo wanted to run towards the middle, and the city of New York said, F you, we're going with the Democratic Socialist. So in areas that are safe, blue strongholds, you can move to the left and gain progress by becoming more progressive. But what the leftist progressive folks also have to realize is that in some seats, you can't do that. And you have to run candidates who can win in the districts or the states that you're trying to win those elections in. So you can't always push the most leftmost candidate, and sometimes getting a more centrist Democrat, like in New Jersey, like in Virginia, getting a more centrist Democrat is going to still cause you to have resounding victories. So we need to all embrace the idea of a big tent where we move left wherever possible, but we still embrace the moderate and centrist people fighting the good fight against Donald J. Trump. And if we haven't learned that from this election, I don't know how we will live that. I don't know how we will figure that out. Yeah, and I was probably going to go over the Supreme Court arguments on Monday because I haven't had enough time to actually go over everything with the Supreme Court. But anyway, so Churches at Every Game over on Twitch says, here's my take on the blue fucking tsunami last night. Incoming CNN headline, Democrats swept the 2025 elections. Here's how this is bad news for Jeffries and Schumer and doesn't bode well for the midterms. See, Trump dined with effing Kanye and Nick Fuentes and said that Jewish people were ungrateful for moving the Israeli embassy to Jerusalem. He was always an anti-Semitic piece of shit. Well, of course so. And of course, Donald Trump at the conference on anti-Semitism literally told an audience full of Jews that if he lost this last election, that it would be the fault of the Jews, which is literally what Donald Trump did. Or literally what Adolf Hitler did. Sorry for confusing the two. One has a mustache and one doesn't. But that's literally what happened. Blaming the Jews for his own personal problems. So, now back to the YouTube chat, which has much more stuff. Spam is the best thing ever when on the river. Wait, what? Kimchi repukes cannot be trusted. They never were honorable. Let's see. See, Lieber, yesterday helped to relieve some of my deep concern, or yesterday helped to relieve some of my deep concern. We the people make it so. Absolutely. Make it so. Thank you. Thank you, number one. The right always offers a soft landing for sex offenders, says Tim. Exactly. Let's see. Bonnie, I can't buy edibles anymore. I have to spend $100 pre-order or per order. Wow. That's very pricey. I mean, sometimes I've spent a bunch, but getting a whole lot in them. I wish we had a place like they had when I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because I was able to find a place that had some edibles that were cheap and they were really good too. Let's see. Steve from across the pond. Titus has a theory. Dinky might, Stress might have been using his pageants to ferry girls around too for Jeffrey. That's why these files ain't coming out. Well, there's that. But also some of these pageants are where people like Erica Kirk came from. Somebody said a rumor that J.D. Vance was at the island too, but not as a customer, but as a victim, because not all of Jeffrey Epstein's clients like girls. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but it would be an interesting theory nonetheless. One that might be couched in some truth, right? Sorry. Let's see. Big Hook says, sounds like some. Thanks, Turtle Toes.
I like turtles.
Chad goes, I think the shutdown ends tomorrow afternoon. We'll see. And if the shutdown ends tomorrow afternoon and they don't get, if it's because the Democrats cave, the next show, I'm going to be very mad at my Democrats. I'm going to be very pissed off at them for, but if it ends because they use a nuclear option, because Donald Trump has urged them to, then we're going to attack Donald Trump and the Republicans for, cheating. And yes, I know the Democrats use the nuclear option as well to end the filibuster on certain things. And when that happened, I was also critical of the Democrats when they did it, because the nuclear option is based on a lie. Does anybody in chat need an explanation of what the nuclear option is? If you don't, I don't want to preach to the choir. But if anybody does need an explanation or a primer on what the nuclear option is, I'd be more than happy to tell you. Chad goes, I predict the Dems will cave on a promise to work to healthcare subsidies. And that's so stupid. That would be so stupid, because why would you ever believe a promise from the Republicans? There's no reason to believe any promises from the Republicans that I think what Thune said was that he would promise to allow them to have a debate and a vote. That doesn't mean that it's going to pass, but it'll give them a debate and a vote. And the debate will be quick and the vote will be no. So if the Democrats believe the debate and a vote is somehow giving them anything, they're a bunch of fucking morons, and I'll absolutely be calling for Schumer to step down at that point. Let's see. F ice chingala migra. No one's illegal on stolen land. Thank you, Kimchi. Exactly. But yeah, Big Hook says the Supreme Court heard arguments for Trump being allowed. I heard some different. I was listening to some of the arguments while I was working today, but there were some people who said that Kavanaugh made the Solicitor General admit to something that was amazing, but then maybe it was Roberts, but maybe they didn't really do it at all. I don't know. We'll have to see on that one, but yeah. See, Trump is going to lose the tariff fight in the Supreme Court. At least the oral argument's not good for Trump. No, I mean, it didn't seem like even the conservative justices, especially like Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett has been much more reasonable as of the 5 conservatives that are there than I would have given her credit for. I still don't like her because I admitted, or I basically predicted when Donald Trump was running for office in 2016 that if Donald Trump became president and if Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, that not only would Donald Trump replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with a Republican or with a conservative justice, that it would specifically be Amy Coney Barrett. And I was right. But let me bring this picture up real quick, because I want to show you exactly, while that prediction I think was one of my really good ones, I think that prediction was a really good one on my behalf, because, how many other people were saying Donald Trump will get to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with Amy Coney Barrett? Who would have thought that? Who else were making? I mean, very few, if anybody, would have thought that. But let's open up this. Let's open up this image in a new tab. Come on. Or just, no, that's not what I want. Why is it not? Maybe we'll pop it open in Adobe Express. We want to zoom. Let's zoom, shall we? So during the 2012 election, this, let's move myself over here to the other side so you can see this better. This was an article that was posted during the 2012 election. A prediction that if Obama loses, and that if we get Mitt Romney, the high court will overturn Roe v. Wade 5-4. And that's literally what happened. I mean, Dobbs v. Jackson was technically 6-3, but only on parts. The parts that actually overturned Roe was 5-4. But if you want to see who the high court was that they thought would do this, Roberts, Thomas, Scalia, Alito, and Kavanaugh. They had Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court that would overturn Roe v. Wade. That was their prediction back in 2012. When I saw this in my memories, the first time I saw this in my memories one time when Roe v. Wade actually was overturned and this came up, and I had to do a double take, a triple take, a quadruple take. I did so many takes that I could not believe that these people were so smart that they actually predicted that Kavanaugh would be on the Supreme Court. Now, that Kavanaugh would be named to the Supreme Court. Oh, wrong image. That Kavanaugh would be put on the Supreme Court, and that B, or wrong tab, I should say, and that B, that he would be part of the court that would overturn Roe v. Wade. So that is crazy, 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 crazy. Let's see. I mean, I did say that. I did wonder if Chucker John had been there or not, and say that Chucker John was there. But Chucker John is in the chat. Good to see you, Chucker John. Thank you for joining. 250 kilo ohm. Amy, Vivian, Coney Barrett couldn't remember all 5 rights in the First Amendment would be a question. Yeah, and that was problematic. But, there's many other things that were problematic, including, the fact that many of these Supreme Court justices who were Republicans said that they believed in stare decisis, especially on Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was settled all the land, blah, 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 blah. Never thought of abortion, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? No. You're stupid, and you're terrible. And I think every one of them who lied about stare decisis should be impeached specifically for that as well. 250 kilo ohm says 51 votes wins, right? Basically. But... Well, actually, 50 votes would be all that would be needed on the actual vote, with the tiebreaker being the chair, i.e. the vice president. But, again, I'll go into... let's see. I don't think anybody else really said that they wanted to hear it, although I kind of missed it. Chad Bostic says the nuclear option does not need to go away. This is bad for both sides. And look, I was very critical because the Dems were the first one to pull that trigger and use the nuclear option first. And I was like, this is a stupid idea. You're opening the floodgates. You're opening Pandora's box. But, Roxanne goes, I haven't seen Wes in a very long time. Well, that's because he's not welcome on this show. Yes, child rape is terrible. But, I wasn't trying to joke about J.D. Vance being on that. I was basically saying that somebody suggested that he could have been on the island as a victim, and that's also abhorrent because people need to be reminded that, child sex trafficking doesn't just happen to young girls. Young boys are also harmed by it. So, apparently, MTG, old 6B, is threatening that once Congress goes back into session that she's going to read the names off the list. And while, she's an anti-Semite too, I will sit there and eat my popcorn while she names names. That's for darn sure. Let's see. I'm worried that a couple of the conservatives will retire during Trump and he'll pick 40-year-old. Yeah, that's also a worry that we must be, or that Trump will pass and then J.D. Vance will get to do it too. So, see, funny how Republicans always replace liberal great Supreme Court judges with their evil doppelgangers. Coney Barrett and Thomas are the insult to the great things that their predecessors ruled on. Exactly. To Steve, I was lurking and pissing about on my phone. Well, don't piss on your phone. It won't work anymore. Sorry. Trucker John, let me ruck you, Trucker John. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you posting? I'm like, oh, Trucker John, let me rock you, Trucker John. Let me rock you, that's all I want to do. Trucker John, baby, Trucker John, I feel for you. I feel for you. I think I love you. Anyway, hey Janelle, good to see you. Trucker John. Now I'm gonna see Trucker. You've got my earworm in my head, and now I'm gonna every time I see Trucker John, I'm gonna be like Trucker John. So you're to blame for that, Kimchi. I blame you wholeheartedly. To Tim, when the crazy rich run out of things to spend money on, they're still not fulfilled. They tend to look in the forbidden zone. Yep. Exactly. Well, what do you have? What was it? Billie Eilish, who was rich in and of herself, but she basically stood there in front of a bunch of billionaires, asking them why they're billionaires. Like, why? Why are you billionaires? And Kimchi, nice liberal Dan. My work here is done. Yes, it is. With your evil grin. But yeah, I mean, Billie Eilish is sitting there talking about, asking billionaires, why are you billionaires? Because, like, what was it? Elon Musk could donate, half of his fortune, half of his wealth, and he'd still be richer than the second most rich person in the world. Like, there is no reason for that person to have so much wealth, so much value. There's no reason for it. It's just hoarding at this point. Like, we've had tales about the dragons that hoard wealth. We have tales about that. Like, there's reasons why people tell those allegories. There's reasons why people talk about, the sin of greed. And the 7 deadly sins. The Republicans will often talk about, conservatives, Christian conservatives specifically will talk about how it's bad to have envy. It's bad to have sloth. It's bad to have all of those 6 of the sins, but they stop at greed. Why is that? Because as John Fugelsang will often say, that greed is that these conservative people are not actually quoting the Bible. They're not actually believing in Scripture. They're rejecting Scripture out of hand. And if you want to buy John Fugelsang's book, you can go to the show description here on YouTube on liberaldanradio.com for every live episode. And in that description, you will see a link to the Amazon.com page where you could buy a copy of John Fugelsang's book as well, that he talked about here on this show on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Left as Right. And Jolie is at least one of the people who did buy the book via my link. So kudos and shouts out to you, Jolie, for not just being one of the best 2 mods on the planet, but for also using my affiliate link to buy the book. Steve goes, oh, Dan, what are you Danning me for the Trucker John thing? Trucker John. Trucker John. Hey, TV2 Live, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I believe most of Elon's wealth is locked up in company shares. Well, yeah, but still, there's no reason for it. And the reason he does that is, yeah, his wealth is tied up. His wealth is locked up in company shares, but does that really count or matter if he can then use those shares as collateral to get loans on and then live off of those loans and then use to pay off loans with other loans to get more money, lather, rinse, repeat, so that he could use that as collateral to live on, but he doesn't have to pay any taxes on the loans because loan money is not income, and therefore you don't get taxed on it. So that is the problem with just shrugging off that his wealth is locked up in company shares, because it's not really when you could use those company shares as collateral for loans and get spending money based off of that. And now he wants to be the world's first trillionaire. And I predicted that potentially during Donald Trump's second term that he would potentially have the opportunity to become the world's first trillionaire, and now he's trying to convince Tesla to make it so. So, let's see. I think I just said the same thing that Chad just said. We probably were, our words were probably crossing each other in the night. Strangers in the night, exchanging glances. Of course, if this was Liberal Dan Radio After Dark, I might sing strangers in the night, exchanging fluids.
Oh my.
Anyway. Oh, the pissing on the phone one. Okay, there you go. There you go. See, I say so much funny stuff that I can't even remember which funny things I said when people react to it. Because they're just boom, 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 right in a row, right? I mean, clearly I'm not as funny as Hal. Shouts out to Hal and his family for everything, that they're going through. Lots of love for Hal. So, yeah, basic coding 101. Scrooge McDuck Money Vault. Yeah, Scrooge McDuck. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, airplanes. It's a duck world. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Woo! Actually, crossing the stream saved the universe, right? In Ghostbusters, they did cross the streams. They were worried that crossing the streams would be a problem, but as long as we're not crossing streams at the same urinal, I guess that's the thing. So. See, Norway's 401 investment board said they will vote no on Elon's $1 trillion buyout. That's good. Or someone would say, no, Ray. But yes, poor Hal, definitely thinking good thoughts to him, sending all my thoughts his way. Yeah, they should post the 250 kilo. They should post the 7 deadly sins on schools' walls instead of the 10 Commandments. Well, they Governor Landry had that passed here in Louisiana. Well, we're going to put the 10 Commandments up in the school wall, and it's not even the right 10 Commandments because it's the one that's in the Christian Bible and not the actual OG 10 Commandments because for some reason they're different. Go figure. That's what happens when you retcon things. That's what happens when you try and do a soft reboot or a hard reboot, if you will, of a religion. I know his dad was at his house in hospice, but I had not heard whether or not the dad passed or not, so I'm not sure. I'm sure Jolie or Aaron could let us know which one is correct, or if it happened or not. So Bonnie says no. Okay, thank you, Bonnie. So there's that. Oh, yeah. What else do I want to talk about? This. Let's get this bigger and wider. Move myself back over here to my normal area, my normal real estate on the screen. Donald Trump. This is from Brian Tyler Cohen's YouTube page, but Donald Trump was being interviewed by CBS.
This year, the president has pardoned or shortened the sentences of more than 1,600 people. The latest pardon was for a cryptocurrency tycoon who is known as CZ. The company CZ founded Binance.
CZ is my wife's initials too. I wish she could be, she should get all that money. She should find a way to get all of CZ's money and be the real CZ, the awesome CZ, if you will.
Helped boost the profile of the Trump family's crypto firm, World Liberty Financial. He pled guilty in 2023 to violating anti-money laundering laws. Right. The government at the time said that CZ had caused significant harm to U.S. national security, essentially by allowing terrorist groups like Hamas to move millions of dollars around. Why did you pardon him?
Okay, are you ready? I don't know who he is.
I don't know who he is, but I pardon him. Here's the thing. I would love to hear Chad chime in on this one. If you don't know who somebody is, why would you pardon him? If you don't know who somebody, I get the blanket part. I mean, I don't agree with the blanket pardon for the J6 people, but at least he understood who the J6 people were, right? I mean, I don't agree with the fact that he pardoned everybody, including people that assaulted police officers, but at least he knew in general who those people were. They were his people. They were his, brown shirts. They were his people that took part in his own attempt to do a beer hall putsch. But but he knew who they were. But Donald Trump didn't know who this individual was, yet he still signed the pardon for him. And the conservatives and the Republicans and the MAGA types want to tell us that, lecture us about Biden and his so-called auto pen and other people controlling the auto pen and not having anything happen during, not Biden not knowing who was getting pardoned and what was getting signed or this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, Trump doesn't know who somebody is and still pardons him. If I was president of these United States of America, and if I was going to have somebody put a name in front of me to give a pardon to, I would at least want to know who the person was, why they think that they deserve a pardon, why others think that they deserve a pardon, and then judge that accordingly. But apparently, this guy, maybe his son's told him, Dad, please, Dad, pardon CZ. He needs to be pardoned because he gave us all this Bitcoin money and he helped us out. Who cares if he helped worldwide terrorism? Screw him.
I know he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and I heard it was a Biden witch hunt.
In 2025,
it was a Biden witch hunt that he was helping criminals, whatever. Chad goes, he pardoned on his son's request. There you go. As I said, again, so words crossing. Strangers in the night. My opinion is it was done, and my opinion is it was done and looks fishy. I disagree with him doing it. There you go. See, Chad can be reasonable. So, yeah, I didn't know who someone was, and yet I married her. That's a whole completely different thing, Jeff. A whole completely different thing. I mean, you knew you at least you knew who you thought she was. Maybe you were wrong about it, but you at least knew who you thought she was. The Republicans administration always screw up on purpose. Basically, yes, basic coding.
His
exactly.
crypto exchange Binance helped facilitate a $2 billion purchase of World Liberty Financial's stablecoin. And then you pardoned CZ. How do you address the appearance of pay for play?
Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about it because I'm too busy doing the other.
But he got a pardon.
He's too busy doing the other. Doing the other what? He's too busy doing the other what? What kind of word salad was that? I was too busy doing the other. Was he thinking about who he's cheating on Melania with now?
But he got a
No,
pardon.
I can only tell you this. My sons are into it. I'm glad they are because it's probably a great industry.
Remember when Donald Trump said that crypto was a scam and it shouldn't be allowed? But now he's profiting from it and benefiting from it, and he's allowing other people, not just CZ, but to helping prop up his own son's World Liberty Financial, but he's also helping other people, buy now the Trump cryptocurrency and then getting, paid on that. So now he's all for it, and once he realizes that not only can he use it to enrich himself, but he can use it to enable himself to be able to enable foreign interests to influence him legally.
Crypto, I think it's good. They're running a business. They're not in government.
Because you were this.
They're not in government. They're not in government whatsoever. I keep hitting the wrong thing. So yeah. So Trump, just another example of Donald Trump's corruption. So Kimchi, I thought what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for herpes. Although I never did contract herpes in Vegas, so never did anything in Vegas except for hang out on Fremont Street for a bunch and then go to a work conference or whatever. I gamble a little bit. So yeah, the other. Take a look at that thing is bigly. I think according to Stormy, it wasn't that bigly. Kimchi, in that case, what happens in Arkansas stays in Missouri. Yes, the extra spicy hour of between Kimchi and Jeff, the Kimchi Curry extra spicy hour would be a much watch, much listen to, much CTV. Wait, I don't want to trample on NBC's intellectual property, right? Herpes and Kash Patel. Ooh. Well, isn't he just one giant herpy though? Really? I mean, not saying that he has it, but just that he is one or looks like one. I mean, I guess I've never gotten that close to a herpes sore to really understand or know. But then that's actually probably not true. I didn't touch it, but Whew, that was... Maybe that's another story that could be told for Liberal Dan After Dark. But there was a game I used to play on my phone, and I would go drive around. It was a precursor to Pokemon Go, and I would drive around and blah 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 blah. One thing led to another. I'm at this hotel, just in a parking lot, trying to play the game, and all of a sudden this person is stumbling, and I roll down my window, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" And they're like, "Do you need any assistance or whatever?" And then she propositions me for something that I was not going to, accept the proposition for. But yeah, it was like, nobody should have, because you could see just the growths on her face from whatever she was doing, what she was doing. And yeah, it was gross. After all, Cash has that wandering eye. So does Trump. That's what they have in common. My nephew gave me crabs. My husband too. They're a story we could draw on for laughs. I love crabs. I love I love getting crabs. I'm from Maryland originally. Of course we love crabs, right? Hey Roxanne, Kimchi and Jeff, you keep promising us a show, but maybe I should just have an hour of Liberal Dan radio, and I can have my video chat thing and have both Kimchi and Jeff on the video chat, just having fun, and I could just sit back and moderate. Maybe enjoy something that Chad sends me whilst going on. See, is Bonholio in the witness protection program or dead? I haven't seen him in weeks. But, when you do see him, and if he sees his shadow, there's 6 more weeks of fascism at least. Or months, or years, or whatever. So... Speaking of Republican hypocrisy, this person could have been this week's Hypocrite of the Week if I don't already have a Hypocrite of the Week this week. Randall County GOP chair charged with felony election fraud. Because every conservative accusation is a confession. Kelly Kenton Giles, or Giles, KKG, just a few letters short from being KKK. I'm sure he's upset about that. Age 64, is accused of providing false information on his application and petition to run for the Randall County Republican Party chair seat. The chair of the Randall County Republican Party was booked into jail Monday on a state felony election fraud charge. Kelly Kenton Giles, 64, is accused of providing false information on his application and petition to run for the Randall County Republican Party chair seat in December 2023 for a spot on the 2024 primary ballot. According to the grand jury indictment signed late last month, it's unclear what about his application or petition was considered fraudulent. The offense is typically classified as a misdemeanor, but because Giles is accused of doing it while serving as elected official, it becomes a felony. Giles did not respond to my request for comment, nor did anyone else within the Randall County Republican Party. The Texas Republican Party chairman, Abraham George, said that he learned of the allegations Tuesday. The Republican Party of Texas is steadfastly committed to upholding election integrity, except for when, you're going to redraw maps to steal more seats from the Republicans or from the Democrats, causing people to have less of a say in your state, thus causing the Californians to act in kind. I am resolute in my duty to ensure that our commitment to securing Texas elections is upheld, which entails conducting elections with integrity by our elected party officials. Bullshit! Sorry. Giles' arrest comes after years of Texas Republicans cracking down on election integrity. Cracking down on election integrity, or just screwing over the integrity of their own elections. So, despite no evidence of such widespread fraud, the crackdown escalated days ago when a former Democratic State House candidate was indicted along with 9 others for alleged vote harvesting in South Texas. Chairman was reelected to his GOP chairmanship seat in 2024 March primary with 51% of the vote against 2 opponents, Brianne Maxwell and Pat Bolender. He was originally elected into a seat in 2023 by the County Executive Committee, according to Amarillo Tribune. Giles' indictment was handed down June 25th, and a warrant was issued. He was booked into Randall County Jail and has since been released, according to the jail log. This case is being prosecuted by the Texas AG Office of Election Integrity after Randall County District Attorney recused his office. There you go. So more Republican accusations that end up to be confessions. See yous in chat. Good to see you. See you. Good to see you. See you. Scotty, good to see you as well. Thank you for joining. We own the house. We were newlyweds. The end. Don't judge. Wait, what? I think I've missed something here because Kimchi went from crabs to talking about owning the house or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on right now.